DB talking birds, DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome to the chat today. Have a lot I want to get into. Obviously, let's go ahead and start off with this. The Eagles did activate 4 guys from the COVID list. That is swing tackle LaRaven Clark, defensive end Teron Jackson, defensive end Ryan Kerrigan, and then also backup offensive tackle Andre Dillard. So those are good things. Obviously, we're hoping for Derek Barnett to be activated off the COVID list also in time for the game against Washington, obviously, just because the Philadelphia Eagles will be thin at defensive end if Derek Barnett cannot go. But it is good to get defensive end Teron Jackson and Ryan Kerrigan back, just so that they have some bodies back there. So, guys, the Eagles play the Washington football team this week. Obviously, we know that. I don't want to underplay this game. I know that on paper, the Philadelphia Eagles are the better team. They should come out and just put a wallop on Washington. But I do got to say this. Washington's going to come out and they're going to play hungry. I think we're going to get Washington's best this week. Taylor Heineke is going to play unlike he did last time we played Washington a couple weeks ago. I think that what the Philadelphia Eagles need to do is just hopefully avoid the fact that this could be a possible trap game. Hopefully it will not be a trap game for the Philadelphia Eagles. Because if it ends up being a trap game and the Philadelphia Eagles end up losing to Washington football team, that would be completely disastrous and an absolute nightmare. But I do believe that the Philadelphia Eagles will get the better of the Washington football team this week, regardless of the Washington football team trying to bring their best this week. But happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to everyone. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, I gotta be completely honest. I am incredibly impressed with this Philadelphia Eagles team this season. Probably, if I think about it and I compare it to, previous Philadelphia teams, I think that this is probably one of the top five, most impressive Philadelphia teams, just because of the way that they've turned their season around, started 2-5, and completely changed the philosophy of the team, to get things going in their direction. Now everybody wants to come out and say, "Oh, well, you played Garrett Gilbert. Oh, well, you played, Jake Fromm. Oh, well, you played, Zach Wilson," and da 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 da. And it's like, yeah, well, so. So who cares? You play the Detroit Lions. Who cares? Who cares? You played the Denver Broncos. Blah 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 blah. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about I was listening to Jody Mack and John McMullen just the other day, and the constant question is always this: is what do you think? What do you think is Jalen Hurts' best game? Is it the Denver Broncos? Is it the Detroit Lions? Is it the da da da? Is it da da da? Is it da da da? And and a lot of people want to say the Denver Broncos, and John McMullen pretty much came out and said, well, they were out a few players too. They were out, a couple of offensive tackles. They were out a couple linebackers. They had Teddy Bridgewater as their quarterback. As if that should be something that we should be, downplaying. Look, that Denver Broncos team pretty much shut out the Dallas Cowboys a week prior. And the Dallas Cowboys were still thriving at that time. I tend not to try and listen to John McMullen as much anymore, because he just seems kind of like a negative Nancy these days. But don't downplay Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater was having a phenomenal. I wouldn't say phenomenal, but he was having an above average. He was having an above average season. Up to that point. And that's kind of when it kind of turned around. That's kind of when it turned into an average season for Teddy Bridgewater after that Philadelphia game. Teddy Bridgewater was having a decent year for the Denver Broncos up to that point, and then it kind of got average. King Mirror, what's up, my man? Welcome to the chat. Happy Wednesday. So you know, it's funny to hear some analysts say, oh well, yeah, it may have been Jalen Hurts' best game, and yeah, they put a beating on the Denver Broncos, and they were down a couple offensive linemen, they were down a couple linebackers, and they were only facing Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater was having a decent year up to that point. And as far as I'm concerned, I remember when Teddy Bridgewater was on the Minnesota Vikings, and that year before he went down, he was going to be an MVP candidate. He was an MVP candidate the year that he got hurt right before they went into the playoffs, because he was having such a phenomenal. There was a hell of a lot of potential in Teddy Bridgewater. So don't downplay the Denver Broncos game. I understand they were down a couple of offensive tackles. Yeah, I'll give you that one. I'll give you the fact they were down a couple linebackers. Sure. But here, let me go ahead and jump back to this though real quick. And King, maybe you can answer this too, because it's a question that is in the stratosphere quite often. What is Jalen Hurts? What do you think is Jalen Hurts' best game? And for me, I understand why a lot of people want to say the Denver Broncos game. I don't think it was the Denver Broncos game. In fact, I don't even think it was a game that we won. You know what Jalen Hurts' best game was? Here, I'll say it. It was the Los Angeles Chargers game. If you remember, Jalen Hurts led a touchdown drive for us to come back in that game and tie it, and kept us in that game, up until the very end of the fourth quarter, until the Los Angeles Chargers had to kick a walk-off field goal. And it was our defense that lost that game. Jalen Hurts did a phenomenal job in the second half, passing the football, just maneuvering in and out of the pocket and operating as a passer. Did a phenomenal job. So that's what I think is Jalen Hurts' best game. King Mero says Jalen Hurts' best game. That's hard to say. I personally believe, like I'm saying, I personally believe it's the Los Angeles Chargers game. We had a chance to win. He put us in that position. I think we were down 24. What was it? 24-17. And then he led us on a touchdown drive in the fourth quarter. And then we tied it. And then the defense couldn't stop Justin Herbert to save their lives. It was our defense that lost that game for us. It was that defense that lost our game for us. But then again, I mean, you can also point to the recent games too. I mean, if we want to talk about Jalen Hurts' best game and we're including recent games, I mean, he was phenomenal in the Washington game. He was phenomenal in that Washington game. But if we're talking about, including the inclusion of everything, where he was great passing the ball, he was great running the ball, he was, and then we're also including the competition level of the opposing team. I would have to say it was the Los Angeles Chargers. That's just my opinion. But guys, it is going to be an interesting week. Obviously, we're going to be without Miles Sanders on the ground. We're not sure if we're going to be without Jordan Howard yet. And so what does that mean? Well, it's probably going to mean more touches for Kenny Gainwell on the ground. More touches for Boston Scott, and I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of giving Boston Scott more carries. Kenny Gainwell, maybe, because with increased touches, he has put the ball on the ground. I don't know if it's a couple times. Maybe it was just that one time earlier in the season. But I'm not that worried. And this is the time of year where Boston Scott usually turns on the Jets anyway and comes through for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'll be looking for him to put up and put out for us. And I mean, when he got his touchdown run, I mean, he it was like a one cut and turned on the Jets in the red zone this past week. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty awesome to see, and that's what I expect from him. I expect from him to hit the hole quick, fast, and be productive for us late in the year like he normally is. And to go along, just speaking about the run game, obviously the Philadelphia Eagles did just sign Kerryon Johnson back to their team, to the practice squad. So we'll see if they elevate him for Sunday's game. I think they're gonna wait it out and see if Jordan Howard can go, but we'll see. King Miro says, "Yeah, but I blame that game on Gannon though." Speaking about the Los Angeles Chargers game, yeah, entirely on Gannon, And I wonder though, because I do believe this. We give a lot of heat, and we give a lot of shit to Gannon. Um, I think that he has gotten better a little bit incrementally. And so I wonder if this version of Gannon, the Gannon that we have now, would do a better job against that Chargers team, um, today instead of than they did then. And maybe we would have won that, and maybe we would have won that game. So that's so I asked myself that question is would we have won that game, um, if we had played that game, today. I'm glad that we're not, because obviously now we're in a position where we have to fight for playoff seeding and things like that, and us winning game and our playoff hopes are contingent on us winning games and things like that, which I do believe that we're going to make the playoffs. I believe that's going to happen, and we'll get into that in a little bit, because I do believe that the Eagles are going to take care of business on Sunday against the Washington football team, and I believe that the Packers are going to beat the Minnesota Vikings, and I believe that the 49ers are going to beat the Houston Texans, and if all of that happens, then the Eagles have clinched playoff berth as of week 17. As of week 17. King Miro says, but I'm glad to see Professor Gainwell. Yeah, here's the thing is like, yeah, we're going to get into that, because I definitely want to talk a little bit more about this, because we know this is that I was expecting so much more out of Gainwell, throughout the season, just based off of how many touches they were giving him in training camp and throughout the joint practices and preseason and things like that. So like, I was expecting to see so much more from Gainwell, so much more from the coaches and putting packages together for him. So I'm wondering if they're gonna start putting those packages together. Maybe they just have those packages waiting on the back end. Obviously, as we know, we're starting to see different formations and different play calls come out of the mind of Nick Sirianni, and I wonder if we're going to start to see some Gainwell packages that we've kind of been banging the table for, like lining Gainwell up in the slot and things like that, and causing mismatches up all over the field, because he can be that guy. He can be the guy that can be the mismatch nightmare, because he is so great and was so great in college. Um, you know, Catching the ball out of the backfield. He's a phenomenal route runner for a running back. That's for damn sure. That is for damn sure. Um, so yeah. So I do. So like just jumping back to the previous topic real quick is it's crazy to me that the Philadelphia Eagles have a shot at clinching the playoffs in by week 17. So that's the crazy part. They started off 2-5, and they have a shot at clinching the playoffs by week 17. So if this were a normal season, and there were only 17 weeks, they would have been able to do it in a normal amount of time. They would have been able to do it in a normal amount of time. How phenomenal is that? How phenomenal is that? But they get an extra week. And so, therefore, because of the extra week, there's a possibility at the 6th seed, which is crazy. Which is crazy. Now, obviously a few more things have to happen if the 6th seed for a shot at the 6th seed, but I'm not even focused on that honestly at this point. Like I spoke about it a couple days ago, and if the Eagles can clinch this week, with those few things happening that I just spoke about, with them beating the Washington football team, the Green Bay Packers beating the Vikings, the 49ers winning, um, then I'm all good. I'm all fine. I'm perfectly fine with that, and I'd be perfectly fine with that, including the Eagles getting the chance to rest their starters in Week 18 against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, wouldn't that be cool if the Dallas Cowboys rested if the back if it was just a game of backups, you know what I mean? Playing in that divisional game, Dallas Cowboys versus the Eagles. King Miro says, "What happens if Cowgirls lose to the Cardinals?" Well, if the Cowgirls lose to the Cardinals, then they're gonna be playing for something in week 18. That's pretty much. I mean, I think that they're gonna be playing their starters in week 18 regardless, but I believe that here. Let me just double check that actually, because that's a phenomenal question. Um, that obviously will bump the Cardinals up. That will bump the Cardinals back up. Um, and both teams will be 11-5. Yeah, both teams will be 11-5. So what would that mean for the standings? Let me see something here. I think honestly, King, all that would really do is that would change the seeding for those two teams, and it would change the seeding for who's going to be number two, and therefore it could possibly change the wild card matchup that the Eagles will have to play. So the Eagles could either play the Cardinals or they could play the Cowboys. I believe that's how it's listed at this point. Um, Let me bring this up real quick. Yeah, so if the Cowgirls lose to the Cardinals and then the Rams lose another game and the Cardinals. Okay, so if the Cowgirls lose, yeah, if the Cowgirls lose to the Cardinals and the Rams win, then the Rams would be number 2. And then we would play the Rams in the wild card round. However, if the Cowgirls lose to the Cardinals and then the Rams lose and the Cardinals would have to win in week 18 as well to become number 2. So honestly, the Cardinals are on the outside looking in at number 2, because the Cowboys and the Rams both are jockeying for that spot. But I believe that the Rams play the 49ers in week 18, and the Rams play the Ravens this week, and the Rams play the 49ers in week 18. So I honestly believe that it's either going to be the Cowboys or it's going to be the Rams that we're going to play. Or it's going to be the Rams that we're going to play. But if the Rams win out, here's the thing: is if the Rams win out, then the Packers will have something to play for in Week 18 because they are going to want to hold on to that number 1 seed. You know what I mean? King Miro says Cowgirls are real delusional. We got to humble them badly. I think this team. Here's the thing. I think that we can beat the Cowboys. But I don't think we can. I don't think we can do it without either Jordan Howard or Miles Sanders. I think one of them needs to be on the field. One of them needs to be healthy. Now, obviously, Jordan Howard is questionable this week whether or not he's gonna, because he suffered a stinger against the New York Giants, and I'm hoping that he's going to be okay. I'm hoping that he might be able to go this week, and I'm hoping that he can go this week. I mean, that'd be great if he can go this week. I am a huge fan of Jordan Howard. Always been a huge fan of Jordan Howard. Want to keep Jordan Howard past this year. Like all of the above. I'm a huge fan of our entire stable of running backs, honestly. If we can keep Jordan, if we can keep Boston, if we can keep Miles, I say do it. I say do it. But unfortunately, we might have to make some tough decisions in that regard. But yeah, no, I think that we can beat let me just get back to your question. I think that we can beat the Cowboys. The offensive line needs to be a little bit healthier. Hopefully, the offensive line needs a little bit healthier, and we need either Jordan Howard or Miles Sanders on the field to do it. That's it. If we don't have either one of those guys, then I don't really like our chances. And I'm not trying to be cynical. I'm not trying to be negative Nancy, but that's just how the cookie crumbles for me in my brain, unfortunately. Because I don't think the Cowboys are going to rest their starters. I think that was a pipe dream that Eagles fans were hoping for, and I don't think it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? There's no shot in hell. There's no shot in hell. I mean, divisional opponent, man. Like, divisional opponent. Injuries aside, like they're gonna try their division rivals, NFC East rivals. They're gonna try and ruin your parade, which is exactly what the Washington football team is going to try and do this week. They might have they don't really have anything to play for. You know what I mean? They really don't, because they're already a game and a half behind, or something like that. 2 games behind, and they're not going to be able to, so they're going to try and play spoiler for the Philadelphia Eagles. A name I cannot read and a bunch of letters that I do not understand. Welcome to the chat. Happy Wednesday. But that's my answer for you, King. That's my answer for you. I mean, I'm hoping that we can just absolutely level them. I remember, here's the thing, is I remember watching that game, 44-6, Eagles versus the Cowboys. The Eagles needed, I think that was wasn't that the 2008? Wasn't that the 2008 year? I believe that was the 2008 year. The Eagles went to the playoffs. It was Deshaun Jackson's rookie year. Donovan McNabb. The Eagles needed to beat the Cowboys in week 17. They needed the Raiders to beat somebody. They needed a bunch of things to happen to make the playoffs, and And Brian Dawkins just absolutely went off in that Cowboys game, and we won 44-6. And the odds of that happening were just kind of like, what? And it happened. And then the Raiders beat a team that they weren't supposed to beat by getting an interception. Sean Jones got the interception that year for the Raiders to seal that game. And then we ended up signing him a year later or something like that. So, I mean, would I love to see a game like that, against the Cowboys this year? Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing: is like if the season comes down to this Week 17 game of the Eagles versus the Cowboys, the game will be flexed on NBC, and the entire world will be watching. That's just how it is. That's just how it is, and it will be great, and it will be great because, there's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than that. Two teams with playoff implications, from a hardcore division. I understand that they haven't been it hasn't been a crazy division as of late, but the Eagles are a tough team. We are a tough team. I don't think we get enough credit. King says, I think this dude tried to give you a link to something. I think he did too, and that's okay. I'm not clicking on it. It looks like spam. It looks like spam. Spam bam, no thank you, ma'am. But no, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this week to see what happens. I honestly do believe, and I don't want to speak too soon, but I do believe the cards will fall into our favor this week, and the Eagles will have clinched a playoff spot after the week is done. After the week is done. And if they haven't, then they gotta go and they gotta beat the fuck out of the Dallas Cowboys. They gotta beat the hell out of the Dallas Cowboys. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. And look, here's the thing. Here's the thing, because this is going to be the second time that we play the Cowboys, obviously. I mean, we know that. Jonathan Gannon needs to be more aggressive. Jonathan Gannon needs to be more aggressive against the Cowboys. Like, I don't care what you do. Just be more aggressive. Just be more aggressive. Or, and contain Dak. Contain Dak. Make sure that you continue to contain Zeke. The Philadelphia Eagles run defense has been really doing a phenomenal job lately. So, I expect them to do that and do a good job of containing Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. Look, we'll get to that Cowboys matchup when we get to it. It's hard. See, that's the thing. It's hard not to look forward to that because it's the Eagles and the Cowboys. But let's take this thing one at a time, because I want to avoid this week being a trap week for the Philadelphia Eagles. We got to go out. We got to handle business like we're supposed to, and just beat up on the Washington football team. Beat up on the Washington football team. Because here's the thing. We played them a couple weeks ago and got off to a slow start. We were playing Garrett Gilbert, and we let them go up 10-0. I don't think we can do that this week. We can't let that happen again. If we let that happen again, we might not be able to come back from that. And I'm worried about that. I don't want that to happen. It was 2 weeks in a row we started off slow. We needed to start off fast. Get a touchdown. It doesn't need to be on the first drive, but get a touchdown in the first quarter. Get a touchdown in the first quarter. I'm tired of not being able to score touchdowns in the first quarter. Just do it. Go out and fucking do it. Go out and fucking do it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? One of the other things I wanted to talk about too is obviously, COVID has been a huge thing in the NFL as of late throughout the entire season. And a lot of teams and a lot of players and a lot of analysts are saying that it's unfair, and maybe it is unfair. Obviously we saw the Saints kind of trot out Ian Book and Dolphins absolutely the Dolphins defense absolutely got all over Ian Book and the Saints, and obviously, the Eagles had the benefit of going against guys like quarterback Garrett Gilbert and Jake Fromm for the New York Giants. Um, Here's what I'll say is, I do believe that it seems unfair, but here's the thing is, this is how I look at it is life is unfair, man. Life is unfair. And it's a part of the game. It has become a part of the game. You have to look at it that way, right? You have to look at it that way. And that's kind of why is it's just another added element of adversity. And that's why we fall in love with our favorite teams. That's why we fall in love with our favorite teams, our favorite players, our favorite sports. That's why we love this game, is because of adversity, and watching our teams and our favorite players overcome adversity, overcome injuries. And this whole COVID element should be included in that. I mean, I get that people are, frustrated by the fact that, like, they've got to trot out their third string quarterback. But, imagine if that third string quarterback comes in and throws for 3 touchdowns and leads you to a victory. How excited are you going to feel? How excited are you going to feel? So unfortunately, it should be just another thing, like a injury ravaged team overcoming injury. That's how I look at it. I think it's really unfortunate and it sucks, but I think that I don't think that we should move games, and I don't think that we should disqualify games. I think that we should find ways to be able to help teams fill the positions of need to continue and play those games, uh, and still have a shot, from an advantage standpoint in said games. But I also enjoy it because of the adversity. I think that the team, I think that's the reason why we fall in love with the sports, is the adversity factor and overcoming adversity, and things like that. That's why we love watching 6th-round picks become superstars, right? Because he's overcome so much adversity of being a 6th-round pick, and now he's a badass. It's like Jordan Mailata, being a rugby player and becoming drafted, and now he's a fucking stalwart on the Eagles offensive line. Absolute stud. Jason Peters, obviously former Philadelphia Eagles offensive lineman, who will probably be a Hall of Famer one day, was a former tight end, and then became an offensive lineman, and he's going to be a future Hall of Fame offensive lineman. Adversity. That's how we should look at the COVID thing. It's unfortunate, but that's how the NFL should address it. They should find ways to help the teams that are going through it find, continuing to fill those positions of need, so that they can continue to play in the games, not delay games or disqualify games, anything like that. You guys get what I'm saying. King says, I feel we're just an underrated team right now. I think here's the thing. I think that we're an underrated team also. I think that there are some analysts that are starting to acknowledge us, like Dan Sileo on the Dan Sileo show. I was watching Tony Dungy do an interview with John Clark on NBC today, and he's really excited about this. Tony Dungy is really excited about this team. Mike Nixon, welcome to the chat today, my man. What's up? Happy Wednesday, my dude. I hope you had a good Christmas also. Tony Dungy, Tony Dungy is really excited about this team. He's also really excited with the development of Jalen Hurts. So it was really good to hear that from Tony Dungy. And he's also excited about the future of the Philadelphia Eagles also. So he thinks that we're doing everything right. And so there are some analysts out there that are starting to assess us correctly. The Eagles know who they are. They know we know our identity now. You know what I mean? We didn't earlier in the season, but now we've become sort of a team that fights with grit, knows their identity. We're a hard pound and pound and ground sort of team, and we're gonna give everything we've got. That's our identity. We're going to do it on the ground, and then we're going to be tough to stop because you never know what our quarterback is going to do because he has that ability to run. Also, it's the same exact reason why we were able to take advantage of the number one ranked rush defense in the New Orleans Saints and run all over them is because of the Jalen Hurts effect in the fact that he can also run the ball as well. So yeah, I think we are an underrated team for all of those reasons. And if Jalen Hurts can continue to get a little bit better game by game by game, passing the ball, then I think we're going to be able to make some noise in the playoffs. Now, I don't want to speak too soon, but I think that there's not going to be, we're not one of those teams that a team is going to want to face. And the reason why in the playoffs, and the reason why is because one, it's that time of year, it's cold, da da da, blah blah blah, and we run the ball. We run the ball, and that's what you want to do in this time of year. Mike Nixon, what's up, my man? What's up, DB? Happy Wednesday. Hope you had a good Christmas, bro, and happy New Year's. And by the way, good game on Sunday. You were the better team. I've had it this season with my team. I'm on to the off season. Yeah, your team. I mean, I've been saying it all along. You guys got to get rid of Joe Judge. Like, I don't even know what his tactics were. In playing the Eagles fight song in practice leading up to that game. I guess he was trying to psych out your guys to kind of get them angry with the Eagles, and maybe it worked for a little bit, but my thing is you never know how each individual guy is going to respond psychologically to something like that. Each guy is going to respond psychologically different to something like that. So it's not going to work all the time. Every time, all the time. But look, I think the owner needs to take a long look at the New York Giants and say, maybe we need a new head coach. Maybe we need a new GM. Maybe we just need to redo this thing. I like completely. I like honestly, I believe it's Joe Judge. I don't think Joe Judge is a good, and I also think it's David Gettleman too. David Gettleman should have done a better job of investing in the offensive line over there. And I was thinking about this the other night, actually, is a lot of people have the Giants investing in a quarterback, and my thing is like, well, how do you know you need to invest in a quarterback? How do you know that you need to move on from Daniel Jones? How do you know? How do you know? You haven't given the guy an offensive line. Me personally, I mean, I know that Daniel Jones has wheels, and I know that Daniel Jones can throw the ball at least at an above average rate, not at an elite level, but at least average to above average. And so I would kind of try and find a way to utilize. That's something I would be able to work with. You know what I mean? And they haven't really done a good job of that. Also, offensive line wise, like it just 5 years and they haven't been able to upgrade the offensive line in an effective, sufficient way. That's a problem. So Saquon Barkley's having to deal with that. Daniel Jones is having to deal with that. And it's a shame. It's a shame that Saquon Barkley's having to deal with that because Saquon Barkley was supposed to be the best running back in the NFL. So there's that. There is that. But yeah, I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles exploded in the third quarter as they should have against your team. And thank goodness that they did because I was starting to get aggravated. I was screaming at the TV at the end of the second quarter. I was like, it should be fucking 20-10 right now. And it's 3-3. What the hell is going on? I was unhappy. It was ugly. Blah blah. And finally, the third quarter came, and I was like, thank God. So Thank goodness for that. Thank goodness for that. But I did have a good Christmas and I did have a good New Year's. All right, obviously it's not New Year's yet, but I did have a good Christmas and happy almost New Year's to you also, Mike. And I hope you also had a good Christmas also. So, um, I pretty much beat my family in the card game spades and had some good food and listened to music. So it was quite nice. Watched a movie to end the night. So it was quite nice. I hope you had a good time also. Um, guys, here's the other thing. What if the Vikings beat the Packers? Everybody is so dead set on the Packers beating the Vikings this week. What if the Vikings beat the Packers? Then what? Well, it throws the Eagles' chances of clinching this week in a loop. But then again, I'm throwing hypotheticals in there, and I don't like to do that until possibly later in the week. But that's okay. That is okay. We can deal with hypotheticals. Let's see what you guys want to say in regards to that. Guys, do you think here's the other thing too is the do you think the Texans have a shot at beating the 49ers? I understand that it seems like a little iffy question, but there is a possibility that Jimmy Garoppolo might not go this week against the Texans. How are you guys feeling about that one? Even though I do know that there is a report saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to need surgery on his thumb and he might play on Sunday. I know that. I saw that report also. And I know that he said that he wants to play through it, blah, blah, blah. But how are you guys feeling? If Jimmy Garoppolo does not go, what do you guys think are the chances of the Texans beating the 49ers? Go. Respond in the thread. Let me know what you think. And then also let's talk about this too while we're thinking about that. Obviously, the Miami Dolphins and the Tennessee Titans are going against this week. The 8-7 Miami Dolphins versus the 10-5 Tennessee Titans. Now, the reason why this one's big, obviously, guys, we know that the Miami Dolphins have been on a phenomenal streak. Maybe even more impressive than what the Philadelphia Eagles have done with their turnaround. Obviously, the Miami Dolphins started off the season 1-7. They won 7 straight. Now they're 8-7 and find themselves in the thick of things. They have to win out to get into the playoffs. But they do have a big obstacle in front of them, and that big obstacle obviously is the Tennessee Titans, the 10-5 Tennessee Titans. My personal opinion is I think that the Miami Dolphins have figured out a way to win this season. So I think that they're going to put up a good fight against the Tennessee Titans. But let me know what you guys think on that. Obviously, if the Miami Dolphins did beat the Tennessee Titans, that would spell good news for the Indianapolis Colts, who go against the Las Vegas Raiders this week. Now, speaking about the Indianapolis Colts, obviously Carson Wentz was just tested positive for COVID, so he might not go. And but we'll see if he gets cleared or not. I don't know. But I still expect. That's the thing too. Is even though Carson might not go, I think that the Colts will still beat the Raiders. I think Jonathan Taylor is just I think Jonathan Taylor is so fucking great that he's just going to carry that team against the Raiders this week. I don't think he could do it. I don't think Jonathan Taylor could have done it by himself without that beautiful pass to the back of the end zone by Carson Wentz against the Cardinals. But I think against the Raiders, I think they'll be okay. Mike says, I know the Daniel Jones haters have to admit that he at least better than whatever we thrown out there. DB, you probably could have played QB for us and probably would have a better game than Fromm. Probably, probably. Um, all I know is I would have panicked if I saw Fletcher Cox, like if I saw Fletcher Cox lining up right across from me. That would have freaked me out. So, because that dude, when he gets angry, whoo. So, and Glennon. Well, here's the thing about Glennon. Yeah, that's right. They did bench from. It was so funny to see. Yeah, I mean the Philadelphia Eagles ended up putting in some of their third string defensive backs in against the Giants. Zach McPherson got some time. A couple other guys got some time. So I, yeah, neither quarterback played well. I expected a little bit more from Mike Glennon. Mike Glennon did do a little bit more than Jake Fromm did. Um, but here's the thing: is I think that we were just kind of running away with it on defense and that defensive line. Um, but but then again, it's still like, yeah, you're right. Your quarterbacks have to play better. You know, and that's the crazy part too. That's the crazy part about both quarterbacks for the New York Giants is Jake Fromm was a phenomenal quarterback for Georgia, wasn't he? He was like a phenomenal quarterback for Georgia, and like he was like this phenomenon, at the collegiate level. And Mike Glennon was supposed to be, a substantial guy. He was supposed to be like maybe an Alex Smith type of guy. Um, and they haven't become any of those things. King says, looks like Joe Judge ain't going nowhere. And look, here's the thing. I know that those are the reports. I know that those are the rumors. That would be a huge mistake. A huge mistake for the New York Giants, in my personal opinion. You've gotten 2 years. You've gotten 2 years to prove what you can do, and what you can do is literally next to nothing. Mike says, and it's sad that Jonathan Taylor isn't going to win an award because MVP is a quarterback award, and Offensive Player of the Year is probably going to Cup. He's legit about to break Calvin Johnson's receiving record of 1974. I know. Yeah. Speaking of Calvin Cup, Cooper Cup. Yeah. I mean, he's had a phenomenal year all year long, and I mean, we kind of knew that about Cooper Cup. He obviously suffered. Obviously, I think it was like his year 3 or year 4 or whatever. He suffered a couple injuries. He suffered a couple injuries. So, I personally just admiring a player, really, really impressed by his ability to kind of revitalize what we saw out of him, out of his rookie year and his year 2, and has done a phenomenal job. So kudos to Cooper Cup. Has been doing it all season long. Phenomenal player. Yeah, if you guys remember correctly, like Carson was drafted in 2016, Cup was drafted in 2000. I think Carson, yeah, was drafted in 2017, and Cup was drafted in 2017, and Carson actually was like, I think was like practicing with Cup or something like that. I don't know. Like practice it, like he was throwing passes to Cup during the off season, like leading up to that 2017 draft before Cup was drafted, and mentioned that, and I think there were reports that Carson wanted Cooper Cup, but we didn't get him. That I know. That I know. So, I think in 2017 we drafted JJ Arcega-Whiteside, right? Anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And yeah, Jonathan Taylor. Look, here's the thing. I know that everybody wants a running back to win the MVP, and it would be really really fucking cool if they did. But like, for a running back to win MVP, it's like you got to get 1,500 yards rushing and I don't know 900 receiving, and you got to have like 20 on the ground and at least 7 in the air. Like that's the thing. Like for a running back to for any other position player to take it away from a quarterback, you have to be able to be the dual threat. You have to show proof that you're a dual threat. And I'm not sure, off the top of my head, I'm not sure what his receiving ability is, or what his I know that he's up there, but I'm not sure what his stats are receiving. But again, like, you know what I mean? So, but they're probably going to give it to Aaron Rodgers again. And didn't I say that at the beginning of the year? I said, I think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. And one of you said again. I said, yeah, probably. They're probably going to give it to Aaron again. Like, no doubt. Bigger question is this, though. This is the bigger question, is who is going to be up for, or who do you guys think is going to win head coach of the year? Because there's quite a few good ones. Now, obviously, you could say Bill Belichick, who I think is starting to quiet down. You can say Cliff Kingsbury of the Arizona Cardinals, which, looking at what's been going on recently, they're on a 3-game losing streak. I think some of the votes will start to quiet down. But look, you could look at Brian Flores in Miami with the turnaround that they've done. They've gone on the 7th-game win streak, and now they have hopes of possibly going to the playoffs if they win out. Obviously, my big hope is Nick Sirianni getting it, because he's turned the season around by completely changing the philosophy of the offense mid-season. And has done a phenomenal job. Here's the thing too, like I've read the message boards, and there are some Eagles fans that continue to say Sirianni hasn't done shit. And I'm just like, what are you looking at? What are you talking about? Like, what more proof? What more proof do you need? Like, look, I get that he wasn't as great at calling plays at the beginning of the season, but like he was learning on the fly too about who his team was and what is best moving forward. This is his first year as a head coach, calling plays, adapting to defenses, doing things like that. And right now he seems like he's on fire. What more proof do you need? Like, what are you chomping at the bit for anymore? Like, I don't know what more you need. You need style points. He's kind of giving you style points. Nick Sirianni is kind of giving you style points. Like, what more? What kind of style? Like, I don't understand it. I really don't. Mike says Zach Taylor, Coach of the Year. That's my dark horse for the Cincinnati Bengals. Really? That's a good dark horse candidate. Another guy that they want to throw in there too is obviously Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. And I get that Matt LaFleur is up there, but me personally, it's hard for me to say that is a great coaching. It's a great coaching year. Like, I know that he's done a phenomenal job since he's been there. They've won a lot of games since he's been there. They've won 36 games over the course of the 3 years, and that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal for a new head coach. But then again, like, you have Aaron Rodgers. Without Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is a guy who knows how to win. Aaron Rodgers is the next closest thing to Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers is the next closest thing to Tom Brady than Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers knows how to win. So without Aaron Rodgers, would you be doing what you're doing? Probably not. Probably not. And that's the biggest take. That's the biggest takeaway. That's why I think guys like Zach Taylor is a perfect one. That's why I think Zach Taylor is a good one. Nick Sirianni is a good one. Brian Flores is a good one. That's I think those guys should be ahead of in votes when it compared to Matt LaFleur. Mike says because who had the Bengals practically one win away from a division title? Right. And just the development of Joe Burrow also. It's crazy. I was listening to Dominique Foxworth talk about Joe Burrow and how Josh Allen and Joe Burrow both cracked the top 5 quarterback rankings. Dominique Foxworth was saying, I don't think he's up there because then you're telling me that la-di-da-di-da, and he basically said he hasn't put that type of career together, and until he shows me that. And it's like, dude, he's in his second year. What are you talking about? It's his second year in the league. It's his second year in the league. And yeah, I get it. Like I think it's too early. I think it's too early to say that he could be in the top 5, or I think it's too early to put him in the top 5, but I don't think it's too early to say that he's to have that discussion about Joe Burrow. And I don't think it's too early to have that discussion. That's for sure. It is only his second year in the league. Look, we did the same thing with Carson Wentz, right? And Carson Wentz fell off the face of the map. He didn't really fall off the face of the map, but like he's not the same player that he was in 2017. So Mike says, and we see a game this without Aaron Rodgers, and Packers did dog shit without Aaron Rodgers. That's true. It's very, very true. It's very, very true. That is very, very true. I think Nick Sirianni should get it, honestly. I am being a little bit biased, but I gotta be completely honest with you. I just think it's absolutely phenomenal what he's done, and I think the fact that like he's also starting to include like different plays and different formations. He's starting to implement new things in the offense this late in the season, which is only going to help the team with their matchups going up against opposing defenses moving forward. And I think that that's a sign of a really good head coach, honestly. Again, there are fans out there who just continue to complain about Nick Sirianni, and I don't get it. I just don't get it. This dude has done what he's supposed to do for a first year head coach. Develop over the course of the year, get better over the course of the year. This year was supposed to be about development. This year was supposed to be about progression and getting better. And that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what Nick Sirianni has done. Big Play Slay, what's up, my man? Welcome to the chat, dude. Happy Wednesday. Big Play Slay says, what's going on, DB? Not much, man. Just chilling on the podcast, bro. Just chilling on the podcast. Talking some ball. Right now, we're talking about Coach of the Year candidates. So I personally, there might be a little bit biased in there for me about Nick Sirianni, but he's just continued to get better. And now he's implementing new shit, and that's the sign of a good coach. It's a sign of and he's just on fire. He's just on fire, honestly. Like, and so for me, I would put him above Matt LaFleur. Putting him above Cliff Kingsbury is a hard one. It really is. But Cliff Kingsbury has Kyler Murray. And Cliff Kingsbury also, they're on a 3-game losing streak right now. You know what I mean? So they're on a 3-game losing streak. They lost to the Lions. They lost to the Rams. They just lost, they just lost a close game on, which actually wasn't that close. It's just that the Colts didn't take advantage of some of the mistakes by the Cardinals on Christmas night. So I would put I would put Sirianni above Cliff Kingsbury, and I put him above Matt LaFleur. Zach Taylor, Brian Flores, Nick Sirianni, all great choices for Coach of the Year, in my opinion. Mike says, I mean, I get it why you picking Sirianni, because people didn't think the Eagles would be sniffing playoffs, and they are 1 win away from playoffs. Yeah, I mean, we're one. That's the thing, and here's the thing. I don't want to speak too soon, but I do think it's going to happen. I do believe that the Eagles are going to clinch this week. And how crazy is that to start off the season 2-5? And if this were any other normal season where there would only be 17 weeks, the Eagles would have done it in time, guys. I believe that the Eagles are going to take care of business against the Washington football team. The Green Bay Packers are going to beat the Vikings, and the 49ers are going to beat the Houston Texans. Therefore, the Eagles will have clinched after this week, and they really could rest their starters against the Cowboys in Week 18, honestly. Big Play Slay says, if anyone deserves the Coach of the Year, it's got to be John Harbaugh for what it comes down to. I mean, he's got so many players on injured reserve, and they are still above 500. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Also, that's a good point. Also, he should definitely be up there. He should definitely be up there. There's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of good candidates. And Big Play Slay, I wasn't even thinking about John Harbaugh. You make a good point. You make a great point there. Yeah, that Ravens team, they've gone through a ton of adversity this year. A ton of adversity. But a lot of teams have. And I think some of you missed my talk about the COVID, which, if you missed it, then go back and watch the stream after I'm done. Mike says, and please like and subscribe, or I'll come to your house. I'm just kidding. You can like and subscribe if you want to. I'm not going to force you to like and subscribe, but if you want to I know you guys are already subscribed, so it's great. I appreciate it. Mike says, I'd give it to Zach Taylor above Harbaugh. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, guys, we'll see. Here's the thing. I mean, how great is it? Like, here's the thing is, how great is it that there are so many good options? Like, I feel like any other year, like it always comes down to maybe like 2 or 3 or 3 or 4. And we're talking about like 5 or 6 great options. You know what I mean? Mike says, here is an interesting question for you. Do you think Ron Rivera loses his job at the end of the year? He completely lost the locker room with that fight in the sideline between Jonathan Allen and Payne. Did he, though? I don't think he lost the locker room. I think that was... Here's the question, and there is a lot of like wavering back and forth on this. I think Daron Payne is a douchebag, and I think I've even heard that about him before. And he kind of nudged Jonathan Allen with his finger, kind of pushed his head with his finger, and yeah, he threw a fucking punch. Look, they're in the heat of the moment. They're getting their asses handed to them. Yeah, Jonathan Allen should not have thrown a swing at Daron Payne. But Daron Payne shouldn't have gotten in his face like that. I think Ron Rivera is going to have this team ready to play, and I think Ron Rivera knows what he's doing. Ron Rivera is going to have this team ready to play, and that's why I say, and I said this at the beginning of the stream, I think he's going to make sure that he has that team ready to play against the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. And I think he's going to make sure that Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen get whatever shit that was you know that was contaminating their fucking Cheerios, cleaned up. That's what I think. Big Play Slay says, but Sirianni, for everything he's preached this offseason, I give the man his props. He's spoken it into existence, and his creativity is amazing. Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, look, here's the thing: is like we've said this all along about Sirianni, and I know that a lot of people like made fun of him after his first press conference. I didn't, because I thought it was like, I knew he was a little nervous, but like he just seemed passionate to me. Like I know what passionate people look like, and he just seemed passionate, and he still seems passionate, and it's great. And I love seeing a young it's like the Philadelphia Eagles have a young head coach who's passionate about football, and it actually come to fruition. And actually it equals success on the field. It's cool. It's awesome. It's great to see. Yeah, and I love the creativity. I love the creativity that's starting to come out on the field, because he's starting to come up with new ideas, like getting Lane Johnson in the end zone, for example. Or having Devontae Smith line up right next to Jordan Mailata against the Washington football team. Like that was really weird. Having Darius Slay run an orbit motion to open things up for Miles Sanders on that one run against the Washington football team. Like that was fucking awesome to see. There's a bunch of things, and I'm sure that we're going to continue to see more. And I'm really, really excited for what's to come in the weeks to come. And I said this in the earlier in the stream also, is I said this earlier in the stream also, is now that Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard are kind of, iffy, maybe we start to see some creativity for Kenneth Gainwell. Here's one of the things is, like, we know that Kenneth Gainwell was getting a lot of touches in training camp and throughout those joint practices and preseason and all of the above. And it's been kind of odd how he hasn't really had that many touches throughout the season after they elevated Jordan Howard. And maybe we're going to start to see them start to implement some creativity in the form of Kenneth Gainwell moving forward, which I'm excited about. I'm excited for that possibility. I hope that that's going to come, because if that includes him lining up in the slot, god damn, let's just bang our tables into existence. That would be great. Big Play Slay says, I saw this idea on Twitter for one of my good friends, and he said the NFL, just like they have the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, we should have a John Madden Coach of the Year award. That would be a good idea. That's a phenomenal idea. That's what they should call it. John Madden Coach of the Year award. And he did just pass as of yesterday, and I gotta throw my do a shout out for John Madden. Obviously phenomenal head coach, legendary head coach, legendary announcer also. So heart goes out to his family. Yeah, they definitely should. That's a phenomenal idea. Big Play Say. Mike says, I agree, but I think they should give to someone that's bringing the hard work on a certain team. Big Play Slay. Yep. But and my hope is that I really think that once the Eagles get into playoffs, and note that I did say once the Eagles get into the playoffs, because they will, that they make some noise. And I think they will, because nobody's going to want to go up against a team that's running the ball like we're running it. Nobody. But guys, this is DB Talking now. DB Talking Birds. DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Mike Nixon, Big Play Slay. Thank you guys so much for joining. King, Miro, also thank you much for joining. You guys were awesome. I appreciate it. This DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. One love, guys, and go Birds, baby.